Your first weeks are the most difficult. When people first come to me for coaching, often they're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to get sick of salads. That's all I can eat is a salad? No, there's a world, like you say. There is a world of food. There is so much to enjoy. And so your first couple weeks are the hardest. And I love it when a client comes back and says, I made this and it was really good. I say, bingo, that goes on your list.
Welcome to the Mastering Diabetes audio experience, where we show you how to sit in the driver's seat of your diabetes health for the rest of your life. We'll teach you how to reverse insulin resistance, achieve your ideal body weight, gain energy, and get your best A1C following almost 100 years of evidence-based research.
Our program teaches you how to reverse prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, and gestational diabetes, and how to simplify your life with type 1 diabetes, type 1.5 diabetes, and insulin-dependent type 2 diabetes by maximizing your insulin sensitivity using your food as medicine.
We're on a bold mission to reverse insulin resistance in 1 million people. We're glad to have you joining us.
Welcome to another episode of the Mastering Diabetes audio experience. Today, I am very excited to introduce you all to Michelle Davis. She is one of the newest additions to our rapidly growing coaching team. Michelle is a certified health coach and personal trainer. Michelle began her plant-based journey over 20 years ago in response to health challenges. Just like many of us, right? It's some health event that gets us into this, and it's this gigantic blessing in disguise. So that happened for Michelle, and you'll hear about that on today's show. But she became an avid student of evidence-based nutrition and still considers herself a lifelong learner. In the early 2000s, she co-authored the book, Never Be Fat Again with Raymond Francis. She also worked at the Hippocrates Health Institute in West Palm Beach. In 2011, Michelle founded Not Diets. She spent over a decade coaching hundreds, including people living with prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, in transitioning to a low-fat, plant-based, whole food lifestyle for weight loss and healing. Michelle has done motivational speaking at events and retreats, regular radio spots, and has been written up in many health columns and various publications. She is just a ball of energy. I'm excited for you to experience a little bit of Michelle in today's show. So what we cover is definitely Michelle's background, her experience as a diabetes coach. We also discuss the benefits of eating greens. Her and I are both very passionate about greens, and she shares some unique ways to get them into your diet. We also talk about green smoothies and answer some common questions about smoothies in general, including greens. That's a really important topic. And we also talk about how to lose weight and what foods are best for people living with all types of diabetes. That's a big part of today's show. So I hope you guys learn a lot from that. We had a lot of fun. And I tell you what, if you want to work with Michelle as one of your coaches, or you want to join one of her small group coaching programs, then make sure to click the link below this show, or simply just go to our website, masteringdiabetes.org. You can simply click coaching in the navigation bar, and then you can apply for a program where we guarantee you results. So we are just very, very excited about our rapidly growing coaching program and our team, and just the incredible results we're getting. So if you want to be a part of that, definitely make sure to apply. With that said, let's get into the show and have some fun. Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time to join our podcast. I'm excited to have you with us. How are you doing today?
I'm great, and I'm glad to be here. Don't like the other options.
That's great. So you went through your own health journey, and I definitely want you to share that with everybody listening and let us know what insights you used from your journey to work with your clients.
Okay, well, my journey started with realizing that I felt lousy because I was sugar, salt, fat addicted. At that time, I thought it was sugar addicted, but you know, the food industry, they are just targeting the sugar, salt, fat combination to make food craveable and to keep us addicted. So it started for me with freeing myself from processed sugar lust, is what I call it, and that was quite a process. And when I meet clients, and have for the last decade, I find that almost to a person, we're sugar, salt, fat addicted, whether we realize it or not. So the clients that realize that and free themselves with whole natural foods are so much more successful, because everybody feels like a failure because of the food industry and the way they have targeted us. So that was the first thing that helped me. Then several years down into my journey, I started creating my own Michelle version of a green smoothie, but it wasn't the green smoothie with the token handful of greens. It had lots of fruit, but it had a half pound of greens. And so it was greens loaded smoothie with flaxseed and other goodies, even amla powder now. So that, though, was foundational for me and for being able to help others, because I'll share a little bit more about that in a minute. But the third thing that I would say was huge, I don't know if you've seen Joel Fuhrman's nutrient density chart, but using that nutrient density chart, which I now know is the same as calorie density, because the foods with the most nutrients per calorie also have the least calories per pound. So using that chart and just starting to eat lots of greens and non-starchy vegetables and fruits and legumes and whole grains, that was transformational for me. And I was able to turn and help others with that.
That's fantastic. Let's talk about greens and green smoothies in particular. So oftentimes people are confused and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I shouldn't have smoothies. Smoothies are really bad. Just in general, people are like, oh, smoothies are terrible. If I have diabetes, I can't put any fruit in there. Like, that's crazy. What are you talking about? And so people also get, I think, a little bit confused sometimes, because we are also teaching very passionately about the focus on eating whole foods and chewing. So this is a great chance for us to have a dialogue with you, one of our coaches, working with clients, sharing, hey, what works for you? What's worked with your clients over the years? What's working with your current Mastering Diabetes clients? So take it away. What's up with green smoothies?
Well, what makes greens so powerful? I mentioned the nutrient density chart. You know, if you look at a nutrient density chart, raw leafy greens top the list. Why? They have more nutrients per calorie than anything else we can eat. But what makes them so powerful? Chlorophyll. Let's go back to high school biology. You know, we learned about photosynthesis. There's no life on Earth without photosynthesis. It's the sun's energy converted to energy for us. So when we eat those raw leafy greens, it's like eating the power of the sun for our bodies. And I like to talk about, and you've probably heard them referred to, the green blood of plants as chlorophyll. And it's amazing.
That's some healthy blood right there. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's actually good for our bloodstream. An atom of chlorophyll is amazingly similar to hemoglobin, human blood. There's only one atom different, a molecule, I should say, one atom different, and they're so identical. So it's very healing and cleansing and building for our body, can destroy bacteria and fungus and abnormal cells. It's anti-inflammatory. So it's just amazing. I read this quote that chlorophyll is a continuous energy transfusion into our bloodstream. I love that. So
that's beautiful. Absolutely
yeah.
beautiful.
So it helped me break addictions. It helps stabilize blood glucose, which is why it's so powerful for people living with all types of diabetes. And, you know, all we have to do to get all the magic is eat the greens. So smoothies are great because they make them taste amazing.
So again, this is huge. I'm glad we're talking about this. So why don't you give an example of what a green smoothie would look like for you?
Okay, well, after I transformed my own life and started teaching classes, class 2 of my class always ended with a green smoothie demo because we talked about nutrient-rich foods. So I would take this plate. Now, I told you my green smoothies have a half pound of greens. It's not just a little token bit. So I take this plate and sit it on the scale, and I'd start piling the greens on the plate, and everybody's eyes would get so big as they'd see that this half pound of greens couldn't even fit on a large dinner plate. And they're like, whoa, we could never eat all that. No, but you're going to get all that healing in this smoothie. So I would proceed to make the smoothie. And by the time I get it made, here's all these newbies. They're on class 2 and they're terrified. They're like, oh my goodness, this is going to be horrific. Even though they see me put in bananas and strawberries and blueberries, they're like, ah. And to a person, people will taste it. Class after class, Robbie, and they go, oh, wow, this is amazing. I could eat this. And I'm like, yeah.
I love it. Absolutely. Okay, so this is wonderful. And the point you're making there is that this is a smoothie that, number one, it tastes good. Number two, it has a lot of greens. So that's obviously very nutrient dense. And then the fruit that you're putting in there is also nutrient dense. So this is a powerhouse, low fat, plant-based meal you can have here. Okay. So I want to clear up the confusion that people have around smoothies. We have a green light, yellow light, red light category for foods and beverages. Okay. Smoothies are going to be in the yellow light category, just not because you shouldn't have them, not because there's anything wrong with them. It's simply to be cognizant of how you are consuming them and how they're impacting your blood glucose. It's just something to pay extra attention to. And it works out very well for most people. And what you can do is you can also drink it slowly, or you can eat it with a spoon. Do you ever do that, Michelle?
Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you, this is so exciting to me because as I came along my journey, I found win-win-win ways to do things. So I actually pour my smoothie into a bowl so that I'm eating it with a spoon, but I put whole fruit on top. So I've got the unbroken fruit molecules on top. And I put my flax seed, I grind it and put it on top. Oh, you can decorate them beautifully. And you're getting the whole plant foods. Actually, my smoothie meal is my most carbohydrate-rich meal of the day. It is my biggest meal of the day, and it's a smoothie meal. So I find that having those whole fruits on top, you aren't just eating a broken up green smoothie, but it's a great vehicle to get a lot of healing greens.
Perfect.
So I will say, though, when I had diabetic people come into my class, I got a little bit nervous because this is years ago when I'm new to the whole process. I'd never heard of Philip Randall. And, I'm hearing, I never bought into, oh, you can't have carbohydrates, but I'm thinking maybe this is too high glycemic for some of these people who are coming with type 2 diabetes. And class after class goes by and they start eating these and they're coming back and they're reversing diabetes eating these green smoothies full of fruit. So it was an aha thing for me. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing like, there's plenty of science. We can go back, to early 1920s, but there's nothing like the personal experience. I mean, I will certainly remember the experience of it happening in my own body, but then also, coaching clients and teaching them to do this and then seeing how well it works. Nothing replaces that. So I'm really glad you're sharing this experience you've had.
Oh, right. Because at first I was thinking, oh man, do I need to make a low glycemic green smoothie for these people? All along thinking that the nuts and seeds would help stabilize their blood sugar. I did not understand what the Randall cycle and what we now know in Mastering Diabetes, that it's the fat that creates the insulin resistance. So I came to find that out experientially before I learned the science.
Okay, so we've covered green smoothies. Now, what are some other ways to get greens into your diet, but also in a way that tastes amazing?
Well, I love to think about never a day without greens. And then I think never a meal without greens. I've honestly
made in that category, Michelle.
Right, because they're so powerful. So why not get them into every meal we can? And whether it's a sweet meal like a green smoothie bowl, or whether it's a savory meal, I love bowls. So I'll pair a grain with a bean and always greens, and you can make a different bowl every day. But I love the greens and beans combination. That's just so helpful because both greens and beans powerfully stabilize our blood sugar. So they're both wonderful tools to have in our tool belt if we're living with any type of diabetes. So greens and beans recipes galore. And I always tell people to take their old ground beef recipes, and instead of using the ground beef, cook some lentils, mash them up, pretend like they're ground beef. And you start with those to make your taco filling, your shepherd's pie, your sloppy joes, whatever it is you're making. And you can use a green leaf always as your vehicle to eat these things. Like a sloppy joe doesn't mean a bun to me anymore. I say sloppy joes, some people picture, oh, the big bun. No, I picture putting it down the center of greens with some maybe chopped onions, tomato, dill pickle on top, whatever. So, yeah, just putting greens with beans. And then today I shared a recipe with you that you can share with the listeners that I created because in my old life, I loved bean with bacon soup. I created this smoky beans and chard, which is greens and beans. It's crock pot, it's simple, and it takes me back because I use a little liquid smoke in there, a little nutritional yeast. Somehow it takes me back to that comfort food of, which I probably wouldn't even like now, bean with bacon soup. But it's delicious, and I always shared that in one of my classes because that was a powerful tool to have people taste at the end of the class. They've learned the truth, and now they come to my kitchen, and they always tasted. And you know what I love about that, Robbie? My dear mother, when I started my business, she said to me, Michelle, I think you should give your clients tastes. And do you know, even yesterday, a client texted me and said, what I always remember was having the tastes. So they taste the food, they taste the greens and beans and say, oh, this is actually good. And that wasn't hard to do. I can do that. So
this is powerful. I mean, there's nothing more profound than that experience. You know, I think a lot of people don't understand how good the food can taste on a low-fat, plant-based whole food diet. They think lettuce and carrots and rabbit food and they even the fruit. Sometimes people just don't necessarily love fruit. That's not their favorite thing. Like, oh, I'm not that excited about fruit. It's okay. But they just, these meals you're talking about, whether it's the sloppy joes or this soup, these stews, like the food is extraordinary in and of itself. And your taste buds come alive when you change your diet. Like all of a sudden, these natural foods begin to taste amazing again.
Absolutely. And I'm not missing anything. You know, Robbie, I'm a foodie, have been from the start. And I've heard people who are living in addiction to the standard American diet or the standard British diet or wherever they live say, oh, I'd rather die 10 years early than give up my, boom, sugar usually, sugar, salt, fat combinations. But once we liberate our tongue from that, oh my goodness, fruit is amazing and real food is amazing. And I don't feel like I miss a thing. I mean, I enjoy my meals so much now that this is just it becomes just the way you live. And once you hit that point, that's exciting because then you've made it your lifestyle. It's not just something you're doing and you're suffering through it. I feel so bad for people who feel like they're suffering through it because you and I, we're to a point where we love the food. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought that point up. And it's a huge part of our coaching program. And that is working with each individual to figure out what meals do you really love. And that requires a lot of testing. It requires a lot of education and often requires just an open mind to try new foods, new combinations, new spices. Sometimes the same food you've had before, but prepared in a different way with a different texture. And all of a sudden, maybe you don't like zucchini, but maybe you do some zucchini zoodles with an amazing sauce on top. And all of a sudden, that's, you know, a really great salad meal for you. Mm-hmm. But I'd also say there's a bunch of new foods. Maybe somebody's never had a parsnip. Maybe you've never had an acorn squash. Maybe you've never had a butternut squash. Maybe you've never had a purple sweet potato. Maybe you've never had all these special varieties of beans. Like, it's just endless. It's endless amounts of experimentation and things you can try here. And we all end up eating about this, like, you know, maybe rotating 5, 6, 7, 8 meals or so and eating them repeatedly. Like, that's totally normal. Like nobody eats like a ton of different recipes all the time. So you got to find what you like, then you do it consistently, and then life is amazing.
Well, what I've found and what I like to encourage new people on this pathway with is your first weeks are the most difficult. When people first come to me for coaching, often they're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to get sick of salads. That's all I can eat is a salad. No, there's a world, like you say. There is a world of food. There is so much to enjoy. And so your first couple weeks are the hardest. And I love it when a client comes back and says, I made this and it was really good. I say, bingo, that goes on your list. Repeat it, and find more you like. And the more tools you get in your toolbox, the more foods you find are enjoyable, the more this becomes a lifestyle and not just a temporary fix to fix your diabetes. No, we want this to become a way you enjoy living. Nobody's going to do something they don't enjoy for their lifetime. So.
Absolutely. Okay, Michelle, now I want to shift gears here and talk about how to lose weight with diabetes type 2. So let's talk about that. You have worked with many people living with type 2 diabetes in your career as a coach. You're now working with people living with type 2 diabetes in the Mastering Diabetes coaching program. How would you say that foods like the greens and the beans, and how are those foods helping people living with type 2 diabetes lose weight?
It's a win-win situation because what you eat to stabilize your blood glucose and gain insulin sensitivity is the same food that will take you right to where you need to be weight-wise. So I like to call it a natural side effect of eating the right foods is weight loss. And I love it that I don't have to count calories. I can enjoy and be full. Who's going to live on some system that gives you this tiny little bowl of food? You can have a big bowl of the right food and always be satisfied. I love the words we use with Mastering Diabetes, comfortably satisfied. I think that's why it's so wonderful for me, because I like to eat, and I was dieted for the first 35 years of my life, never feeling satisfied on a diet, And so it's great that I can eat these big bowls of food and the weight's off, it stays off, and part of it, keeping the weight off, you can be a vegan and not be whole food plant-based and not be low fat. There's a lot of pitfalls. So the low fat part is huge.
I love what you're saying. Absolutely. So that's a huge point here. So when it comes to actually how to lose weight with diabetes type 2, the key is low fat plant-based whole food. So you just said that. So you got to start with low fat. We're teaching a maximum of 15% of calories coming from fat, and you're going to easily accomplish that without overthinking when you're following the Mastering Diabetes method, eating green light foods. All the green light foods are low in fat. Then you're eating those yellow light foods moderately. So that's going to be the nuts and seeds, avocado, coconut meat. We're going to put durian in that category. We'll put foods like soy is going to put in that category because it's a little higher in fat. So you can eat those foods in moderation. Then you're going to eliminate or dramatically reduce the foods in the red light category, which is going to be all the animal products, processed foods, which are oftentimes very naturally high in fat because of the oils. Oil is going to be in that category. So you simply follow those guidelines, and just like you said, you get to eat the green light foods in abundance. That is fruits, that's starchy vegetables, that's legumes, that's intact whole grains. These whole carbohydrate-rich foods, eat them in abundance because they're low in calorie density, and that's how you can lose weight living with diabetes type 2.
Absolutely. And I say you have to put the focus on the green light foods, especially for those of us who have dealt with addictions. I mean, we don't want to, I wasn't able to just delve into saying I could moderately enjoy nuts. It was better for me just to focus on the green light foods, have my flax or chia seed, and call it good. But the green light foods are the key for weight loss. So having large amounts of non-starchy vegetables and fruit is helpful for me. Then having some beans and some whole grains and building around those green light foods with my meals, and not building around, thinking about nuts and seeds. And honestly, I thought, Robbie, when I got to my goal weight, I would need to add back in some nuts and seeds and some avocados to stay there. But guess what? I really didn't. I mean, my body just stopped losing when I got to where I needed to be, and I magically stay there. It's the most amazing thing, and I enjoy food, and I'm not feeling deprived, and that's huge. Who's going to do something where you run around feeling deprived?
Absolutely. So if you love to eat, then the Mastering Diabetes method is for you.
It is. And here's another tip for losing weight. When you start with the Mastering Diabetes program and you see the traffic light list, I always tell clients, do not say, I can't have this, I can't have that, I can't have this. Don't look at this red light list and say, oh, I can't have eggs, I can't have this, I can't have that. You want to say, I can have anything I want, but health is a choice. And so the more I choose these green light foods, the more I'm going to feel amazing and get amazing results. And so health by choice, not by chance. I'm choosing health with the green light foods. But to say I can't have something, what's it make you do but want to rebel and go eat it and feel deprived?
That's such a great distinction. That's so important. Okay, so we answered the question of how to lose weight with diabetes type 2. Now, I want to move into talking about what to eat when you have diabetes in general. So I want to make it clear that everything we're talking about today, the green light foods, the greens, okay, the beans you were talking about, then we're listing all the green light foods. Like, this is a program, this is a method for people living with all forms of diabetes. So I just want to make this clear, and we're going to run through what to eat when you're living with diabetes. So we're going to do this green light category once again, Michelle. I sometimes people don't believe it, okay? And they're just like, for real? Like, we are serious, okay? And in our book and also on our website, there's a link where we have listed every single green light food. We have it in order of calorie density, okay? So there's a fruits category, and then the most calorie dense fruits are at the top. And the reason we do that is because the number one mistake that we see our clients make and people who come across our path is that they don't eat enough calories, okay? So today, yes, we talked about greens, we talked about how important they are, but they are in conjunction with whole carbohydrate foods. You're not just making a green smoothie with just greens, you're putting in plenty of fruit in there, okay? You're talking about these, sloppy Joe meals where, yeah, the greens is the wrap, but the food is calorie dense. So that first is fruit. So I'm going to give you a few examples. Mamey sapote, which I'm actually was eating like right before this session, and my blood goes a little low, so I ate some mamey. But that's one of the most calorie dense fruits on the planet. Then you have things like bananas and jackfruit, and you have mangoes and apples and pears and peaches, all the whole fruits, okay? Green light category foods. That's what you're going to eat no matter what type of diabetes you're living with. And I think that's important, that we're unifying people into one mission, which is maximize your insulin sensitivity, okay? So then we move into starchy vegetables. So, Michelle, tell me your favorite starchy vegetables.
Golden potatoes that we just got from the farmer's market today.
Golden.
I mean, they're Yukon Gold. And the farmer, literally, he's an organic farmer, and he just dug them. So they are amazing. And they don't need anything on them. I mean, people have this huge wrong thinking about potatoes, like they're the enemy. And I always say it's not the potato, it's what you're putting on it. I mean, people that are loading the potato with sour cream and cheese and bacon bits, my goodness. Yeah, that's the problem. The poor potato gets blamed, right? But these potatoes from the farmer's market are so golden, and you cut them in half and after they're baked, and amazing. So
okay, good. So now the next category is legumes, okay? So there's also lentils we put in this category, and peas. So what are your favorite beans to eat, and what are your favorite lentils?
Okay, I love all things beans and lentil, but probably my favorite bean would either be pinto or garbanzo.
Okay.
And I love to make just a big pot of pinto beans. There's so many different ways you can spice them and things you can do with those. And then lentils, when I did the Chef AJ show, I discovered some like that the French green lentils are amazing in salads, but if you're making a soup, it's the red lentils all the way. So it depends what you're doing, but I never met a lentil I didn't like either. And so yeah, both of those are great.
Okay, and then the fourth category in the beginning of our green light list, again, these are all ordered specifically with having the calorie-dense foods first, okay? The fruits, the starchy vegetables, the legumes, and now the intact whole grains. All are calorie-rich green light foods. What are your favorite intact whole grains to eat?
I love whole grains. You know, I went through a spot in my journey where, you know, I heard some science that whole grains weren't good for you. I bought some books, I read them, and I tried to be grain-free for a time, and I'm recovering from celiac disease, and it did not go well for me. Then you read Dr. B's book, Fiber Fueled, and he says grains are the foundation of a healthy gut microbiome. Since I'm living with celiac disease, my favorite grains, some of you are going to say, what? But teff, my body loves teff. Wow. Buckwheat, I eat buckwheat often, almost daily. So I make sure a day doesn't go by without a whole grain because, yeah, it's powerful.
Absolutely. And that's the fun part about trying this diet. I bet a lot of people listening have never had teff.
They're missing so much.
I mean, and a lot of people listening, they haven't had farro. They haven't had maybe millet. They haven't even maybe had buckwheat, especially in the way that we teach people to prepare these foods. Mm-hmm. So I can't emphasize enough how much fun it is to eat these different varieties of foods. So that's
amaranth. Have you had amaranth? Amazing.
Most people have probably not. So guys, if you're listening to this show and you have now gotten intrigued to have some of these, please go eat some, look at some recipes on our website, and then tag us on social media and say, hey, we tried a meal with any one of these grains or any one of these new foods. We'd love to hear that. So those are the first four categories in our green light list. And then we move into leafy greens, which we already covered today, Michelle. Mm-hmm. Then we move into non-starchy vegetables. So these are things like bell peppers and zucchini and cucumber. And you're going to have broccoli in there and cauliflower. So all that fun stuff. And then you go into, there's mushrooms as a category in the green light list, and then herbs and spices. And all these foods, ad libitum, literally eat them when you're hungry till you're satisfied. It's almost impossible to eat too much. It's very, very difficult. By the time you have eaten enough of these foods to be like, oh man, I'm full, I still want any more, you didn't eat very many calories because they are so loaded with water and fiber, and the nutrient density is also part of satiety.
Right. And you know, you were talking, Robbie, about people who are not eating enough and are not losing weight. To a person, when a client tells me, oh man, I had this binge, I went and I ate all this red light food, and I look at their food journal, usually their chronometer, and they had such a paltry amount at breakfast and lunch, I'm not surprised because we need to be comfortably satisfied. If we're not satisfied, it's not a way we can live. So it's teaching people to get rid of that notion of portion control, eat enough of these things that you're not in that position where, you're already trying to get away from these foods. You know, it's a new thing for you. You don't want to leave yourself hungry. So, absolutely. You know, that's setting yourself up for a binge. So,
absolutely.
Yes.
So there you have it. Those are the foods to eat when you're living with diabetes, any type, type 1, type 1.5, pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, gestational diabetes, MODY. There's a lot of different varieties of diabetes out there. I just covered the main ones, but it doesn't matter. We are all on the same mission to live a lifestyle that maximizes our insulin sensitivity. And what that's going to mean is when you're living with type 1, type 1.5, you're going to use a physiologically normal amount of insulin, or you're going to compensate for whatever more you need. If you're living with type 1.5, you might need a quite small amount because you're producing some. But it doesn't matter. You're going to use a physiologically normal amount of insulin. With pre-diabetes, we're looking to reverse that. Just completely get rid of the condition. If you're in pre-diabetes range, you can do that. No question, okay? Then when you get to type 2 diabetes, it depends on how long you've had it. You might be living with insulin-dependent type 2. That's fine. You might be living with non-insulin-dependent type 2. Great. We're going to get you completely off medication. We want you to take diabetes off your medical record, and you can absolutely do that. So, Michelle, I would love for you to share some of your experience in our small group coaching program. What's your favorite part of small group coaching?
The people. I love celebrating. I love community. I think the community is powerful. I have private clients and I enjoy my time with them, but sometimes I feel sorry for them because they're not getting to benefit from the community. Yeah. And just having the coach tell you, oh, this is totally normal. You're just beginning. It's going to even out. Just don't worry about it. Keep going. Is one thing, but having another person in the group chime in and say, yeah, Michelle's right. That happened to me at first. And I just kept doing the right thing and I turned a corner, it's powerful. So I love working with the people. I love how the people encourage each other within small groups. And then even like last night, we had one person make a major breakthrough, finally turn a corner, and the whole group was in smiles and celebrating and clapping. That. And, I love the way our small groups are, that who's going to be there for your small group and your coach. And it's a safe place. You can share yourself and you can be real with the other people. And when you come back and report your victories, they're happy with you. Maybe they came to the group that day a little discouraged and you encouraged them. So the whole group dynamic in our small groups is amazing. So
yeah, everybody at this company, we are just so happy and excited about our personalized small group coaching system. Mm-hmm. And it's great. Like you said, the community is so valuable and people are in a group of others who are living with the same type of diabetes. So if you're living with insulin-dependent diabetes, you're using fast-acting insulin and long-acting insulin, we're going to put you in a group with people just like that. If you are living with non-insulin-dependent diabetes, okay, you're trying to reverse prediabetes, type 2, you may be using some oral medications, you're going to go in a group like that. And if you're living with type 1, you go into type 1, type 1.5. We even have like a kids group. There's people who are now being like, we place you into the best group that's possible. It's available on your schedule. And it's just, the community is everything. And we've intentionally made it so people are kind of staggered. So you're right. Sometimes somebody will come in. This is their first call. Somebody else might be, oh, this is my third or fourth call. And you see that they've already walked through a lot of these challenges. And it just means so much to hear from another real person. So
yes. And Robbie, don't forget, we have a menopause group. I mean, if you are dealing with the challenges of menopause and diabetes, that's unique. And just to come with some other ladies that are in that same place, that's a powerful help. And absolutely. You could just call me Menopause Coach Michelle.
Menopause Coach Michelle. That's great. And I think like you hinted at earlier, like it's important to be in a place where you feel safe and you can say things and that's what we've created. So I just want to say thank you for everything you do. We are so glad to have you on our team, and you've been helping so many people. It's just a really beautiful thing. So thank you, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. It's fun to be here. It's a blessing. I'm loving it.
Cool. Okay, everybody, thanks for listening. If you are interested in working with Michelle, joining one of our personalized small group coaching sessions, please click the link below, or you can just go to our website, masteringdiabetes.org, to click the coaching, and you can apply, and we're going to make sure you're a good fit and put you in the right place. So we hope to work with you. We want to help you. We want to make sure you're enjoying your greens, enjoying those golden potatoes like Michelle, loving your food as much as we do, and getting the results you're looking for. So come join the party, and we'll see you on the inside. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Mastering Diabetes audio experience. We're very happy that you're making the commitment to learn more and open your mind to a world of diabetes management and reversal that is truly taking the world by storm. We would love for you to leave us a review in iTunes. The truth is that every review counts and helps further our mission to spread the word about reversing insulin resistance in 1 million people. Please take 2 minutes, head to the iTunes store on your phone or on your computer, and leave a review for this podcast. We really, really appreciate it, and we'll read every comment and truly appreciate your honest opinion. If you're looking for more information, visit our website at www.masteringdiabetes.org to learn evidence-based science and get free recipes and listen to free podcast episodes. And you can also register for our free Mastering Diabetes Online Summit, which is our premier online event of the year, which attracts between 40,000 and 60,000 people every year. You can also watch videos of other people living with type 1 diabetes, type 1.5 diabetes, prediabetes, and type 2 diabetes. And you can hear them tell their inspirational stories of improving their diabetes health for the first time in their life. If you're interested in joining our coaching program to take full control of your diabetes health, or work with experienced coaches, or join a constructive and empowering community of people losing weight, lowering their A1C values, and saying goodbye to diabetes complications altogether, visit masteringdiabetes.org/waitlist. That's masteringdiabetes.org/waitlist, and put your name on the waitlist today. We'll send you a personal invitation to join the coaching program as soon as the next open enrollment period begins. And if you want to get your hands on a copy of the Mastering Diabetes book, then visit masteringdiabetes.org/book and pick up your copy today. We are proud to have written a book that contains more than 800 scientific references to give you the confidence that the Mastering Diabetes method is backed by almost 100 years of science. We wrote the book to truly make a difference and further our mission of reversing insulin resistance in 1 million people. So pick up a copy today and leave us a review on Amazon when you get a chance. Talk soon. We will catch you in the next episode.